Hello and welcome back to my channel. Special warmest welcome to my first ever subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. I don't know who you are, but thank you for joining this community. I hope that you'll enjoy my videos. Please feel free to message me and let me know what you would like to see more of. As you know, I am a total beginner. I've been on YouTube for a week, and simply what I'm trying to do is to provide some value for others and create videos that I would like to see on YouTube. Now, before diving into the list, I feel I need to provide a bit of an explanation, a bit of an introduction to this video. The books I'll be discussing here are not bad books by any means. All of them are hugely popular, critically acclaimed, or even classics. So, who am I to argue? However, they simply weren't to my taste, and so I dropped them. My reading habits have drastically changed over the years. I would used to finish every single book I started just out of the principle of finishing the book. But now that I am in my 40s, I have a different respect for time and different approach to books. There are so many books out there, and if I'm not enjoying one, I'll now set it aside for something else. However, something happened recently as this morning, actually, because I have just this morning finished reading Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Meles. Wow, what a roller coaster read that was. I hated the first 40% of the book, and for the life of me, I could not understand the hype. Then, halfway through the book, the story started to pick up and everything became more cohesive, and I was totally absorbed. But my point is that by the end of the book, I absolutely loved it. So here's a list of books. Some are extremely popular, some are even timeless classics that just weren't for me, and I never got to finish them. I guess I hope that this maybe sparks a discussion. I mean, I am thinking I can't be the only one not liking these books, right? On the other hand, maybe you will tell me that some of these deserve a second chance, just like Cleopatra and Frankenstein did in my experience. Just before we jump into the list, a quick disclosure that I am not including here books that I did not finish for other reasons than not liking them. And yes, there can be other reasons. And two recent examples that come to my mind are Animal by Lisa Toledo. I absolutely loved her first book, Three Women, but when I got a library copy of her Animal book, I read first few pages and it all came back to me. I can't think of any other word than depressing. I just think that you have to have a very resilient state of mind when it comes to reading Lisa Toledo. And when I picked up her latest book, I just wasn't in that state of mind, so I had to give it back to the library, but I know I will pick it up again. And the same with Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These, very popular book. I knew it would be very sad after reading the first pages, and I just wasn't in the right mood, but I will definitely read both of those books. So this is not about those kind of books. This list is about books that I feel I gave a fair chance and I realized they weren't for me. Wow, I've just realized I am rambling, right? Let's get into the list. So the first one is probably the most controversial. Many of you will strongly disagree with me, but maybe some of you will agree with me. I'm just really interested whether anyone has similar thoughts to mine on this book. And the book that I'm talking about is the one and only Donna Tartt, The Secret history. So this is a highly acclaimed novel, loved by many. I started it and just couldn't bring myself to continue. It's not that it's boring, but I couldn't connect with the characters, and the story feels so slow. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps it's because the characters feel so removed from where I am in my life. But then again, my favorite book is 100 Years of Solitude, and its characters are far from relatable, so maybe that's not it. To be fair, I had a similar experience with The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I read the first half of it and it really dragged for me. With The Secret History, I am slightly undecided. Should I give it another go? I can't find myself going back to this book, to pick this book up from my bedside table. I've got a bunch of books on my bedside table and I never go for this one. Next one is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I don't have a copy of it because I had to give it back to the library. Again, this book has been sitting on my bedside table for a while. I got to about 100 pages in before I had to return it to the library. Zadie Smith's witty and funny writing style is undeniably good. However, I think it was the characters that I just couldn't get engaged with. Let me know if it's worth borrowing it again and giving it another try. Next, I have two classics. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This book is experiencing a revival online. I read about half of it and gave up. Two long monologues, and they were too self-indulgent for my taste. While the book in itself is incredibly smart in terms of the writing, I didn't feel invested in the characters or the plot. I wasn't even curious about what would happen next. And the second classic is The Master and Margarita. I understand that this book is an allegory and perhaps I'd appreciate it more if I've done some research beforehand, but when it comes to classics, I have a strict criteria that the story must be able to stand on its own. For example, I just recently read Wuthering Heights for the first time and I was blown away. In fact, I've got a copy, 1 second. Can we just have a little moment for this book? For the context of this video, what I wanted to say was this book stands on its own. I haven't done any research. I just went into the book. And yes, afterwards, I went and did some research and that certainly helped to understand, especially the motivation between the characters and the context of the times when the book was written was very relevant. However, when I read this, I knew nothing. I don't think I've ever even finished any of the movies, which was great because I don't think any of the movies does any justice to this book or even is aligned with the story. So yes, so I read this without any context and I loved it. And for me, that's what a classic book should deliver. Let me know what criteria you use for classic books. And in comparison, The Master and Margarita just felt so random and chaotic, and so I gave up. Okay, for next one we have Ann Patchett, very well-loved Ann Patchett, and her book called Bel Canto. I enjoyed The Dutch House while reading it, although I must say the story is not particularly memorable for me. I have this same thing with quite a few books, by the way. For example, My Brilliant Friend. I really liked it while reading it, but now the plot and the characters are a bit of a fog. Let me know if it happens to you as well. It doesn't mean the book was bad or I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed while reading it. I just can't remember. But that's okay, because even though I don't remember the plot, I remember appreciating Ann Patchett's writing style, which is very unique. However, I could not get into Bel Canto, and this is one of the books that my mother-in-law swears by, and we very often agree on the books that we like. So I think I had 2 attempts with this book and I gave up. Should I give it another go? I don't know. I mean, I've got at the moment somewhere here Tom Lake by Anne Patchett, and I will definitely read it. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the design of Anne Patchett's books? You probably can't see it very well because this is a library copy. It's got foil on top. But the same with the Dutch House. Oh, her book covers are just the most gorgeous book covers out there. Anyway, I'm hoping I'm gonna like this one, and Belcanto was an exception. Next book is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, and I can see why this book appeals to many, but it wasn't for me. The idea here that a bunch of pensioners in a residential home get together to solve a murder, I thought was great. I mean, was it realistic? No. But is it a brilliant idea for a story? Yes. But somehow, despite reading the first few chapters, I did not find the characters intriguing or having enough depth. And so I ended up donating the book back to the charity store where I got it in the first place. Next we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This one is probably on me. It was the main theme of the video games that completely didn't excite me. But I must say, I barely read any of it. So maybe I just wasn't in the right mood. Should I give it another try? The next book is The Book of Cold Cases. This was all over social media, and I do love a good psychological thriller. However, I read a couple of chapters and I just knew I would not find the key character interesting, and I kind of knew what vibe the book would give me, and it just wasn't for me. I also have realized that I'm not a big fan of books or even TV shows that are orientated around true crime podcasts. I'm thinking here about two books. Sorry, I have just quickly checked. It was Has Anyone Seen Charlotte Salter, which was my probably least favorite book by Nikki French, and I have read all of them. And the other book was Lisa Jewell's None of This Is True. Again, there is a podcast theme in there, and I have read, I think, most of Lisa Jewell's books, and again, this was my least favorite. So I don't know, maybe it's the theme. I was not into the Book of Cold Cases. The next book, we have A Gentleman in Moscow. This book didn't resonate with me despite its huge popularity. I know it's been made into a TV show. I think it was the introduction of the characters. It was like a collection of different people, and the way they were introduced was, frankly, for me, slightly incoherent. But I think most of all was the premise of the book that didn't really pull me in. I mean, really, Stalin's regime put up an aristocrat to live in a fancy hotel as a form of house arrest. So yes, I think it was that unrealistic, romanticized view of what was very, very brutal reality of Stalinist Russia that completely put me off, and I just couldn't go on from there. Next book, we have Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I have a physical copy, which actually I won't be reading. And if you live in the UK, I'll put it in the post for you. This is a hard copy and it's in excellent condition. It is second-hand book, but it feels like it's brand new. So if you're Sally Rooney's fan and you want this for your collection, then please let me know. I'm very happy to post it to you. The only other Sally Rooney's book I've read was Normal People, which I enjoyed at the time when I read it quite a few years ago. Although now that I am a few years older, I think I would probably find it slightly too self-indulgent. The characters would probably annoy me a little bit. So with Beautiful World, Where Are You? I just couldn't connect. So maybe I am simply no longer the target audience for Sally Rooney, although I have heard great things about Intermezzo, her latest novel, which apparently is more for mature readers, and I might pick that up, especially that there's an element of chess in there. I love chess, I love playing chess, I love watching any movies or TV shows that have chess element in there, so I might pick that up as soon as I can get my hands on the second-hand copy. But yeah, with this book. Let me know if you would like this copy and I will happily post it to you. That's it for my video today. I hope I didn't make it too long. I would love to hear your advice. Should I give any of these books another chance? Have you had similar experiences with any of them? It would make me feel probably less crazy and less alone to know I'm not the only one not liking these books. Please share your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you in my next video.